Hi, readers. Today we're going to talk about how you can use common beginnings and common endings that are found in words so that you can read those parts of the word in a snap. So, readers, as you know, when words are tricky, roll up your sleeves. You can do this work. You're so capable. All right, let's take a look at some of these sentences here. So what I want you to take a look at is I want you to take a look at the sentence, see if you can read it. And what we want to do is get you to be thinking about when second grade reads words part by part, they know lots of words use the same beginnings and endings, which they can read in a snap. So I want you to take a look at each of these sentences and try to whisper read them to yourself, and then I'll read them along in a minute. Okay, you can pause the video here while you practice reading the sentences and the words. Okay, now I'm going to get started. Last night for supper, we ate something macaroni. Okay, we're going to take a look in a minute at how we can chunk up this word into parts so that we can practice reading it correctly. Last night for supper, we ate uncooked macaroni. Our book ended splendidly. So we are reading these words part by part, and we're looking at the different parts of the word that we know in a snap. So let's take a look here. You can see here I put this slash mark so that we can imagine reading the parts of the word that we know very easily. We know when we see the letters P-R-E together, that's something we see often in our reading, that we would pronounce that as pre, that means before. We know when we add ed, it can make the d, t, or ed sound at the end of a word. And then we know our base word here, cook. So look at here, and I kind of tried to chop these parts of the words so that we can practice sounding them. So last night for supper, we ate, and if I look in my eyes, if I look quick with my eyes and I'm thinking really quickly, I know how to read this in a snap, pre. I know how to read cook, and I know how to read cooked. I can put it together quickly, pre-cooked macaroni. So now I have something similar, but instead of pre, P-R-E, I have un, which means not. Okay, so on, we see on often in words, and we're going to practice this in a minute with some other words. We know how to read the prefix on. This is the first part of the word, and we already figured out cooked, right? So we can put it together in a snap, uncooked macaroni. Now let's take a look here at this ending ly. A lot of words that we read in our book end with ly. So let's take a look at how we chunked up this word to read it part by part. Splendidly. Splendidly. So even though I may not have known what the word was the first time I saw it, when I think about breaking it up into part by part, and I think of the same beginnings and endings that I can read in a snap, I can read this longer word splendidly. So the other strategies that you know are to check the picture and think what would make sense. And when you're reading these words, what makes sense with what's happening in the book. So let's practice this, okay? So we're going to look for words with common beginnings and endings, and we're going to practice this. And we're going to remember that when second graders read words part by part, they know lots of words use the same beginnings and endings, which they can read in a snap. So we're going to take a look. If we've got pre in the word made, we can read pre-made. Re, which means before, and read, we get reread. On and happy, we get unhappy. Good. Disagree, we get disagree. Nonsense, nonsense. Misplace, misplace. Well done. All right, let's continue. Now we're going to try it with some of the endings. Endings to words are called suffixes. You'll learn that skill later this year. So we're going to look at all of these are very common endings. We see these endings all the time, and you can read them in a snap. Ing, li, ed, or id, or t, depending on the word. S, as, and So let's take a look at these words. We can read this easily. We know this word is walk. If we're adding ing, we get walking. Good. All right. Yes, quick. Lee, quickly. Dream with ed, dreamed. Hike, hikes. Wish as wishes. And write, writer. So when you are coming across these words in your own books that you're reading, you can ask yourself, does the word have a common beginning or an ending that I'm used to seeing? If it does, you can read that part in a snap and put it together with the base word. So again, let's practice this with this sentence. If I was reading this sentence, I'm going to reread it. I'm going to ask, does that sound right? Soon, Katie began to, I know this ER, I know that this has the consonant, vowel, consonant pattern, so it's going to have the short I sound, shiver. Oh, shiver. Now that I figured out what the word is and how to read the word, I'm going to reread the sentence. Ready? You try reading the sentence. Okay, did you read? Soon Katie began to shiver. Wonderful. That word is shiver. So then you ask yourself, does that make sense with what's going on in the book? Use what's happening in the story. And once you have done that skill of cross-checking, does it look right? Does it sound right? Does it make sense? Then you know that you are ready to tackle and read all of these wonderful, new, more challenging words you're going to get. All right, have a great time reading.